Hey there, and welcome to the Confident Woman Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Brooks. Join me as I sit down and chat with co-hosts, friends, and carefully curated guests and talk about all the things that empower you to become your best and most confident self. So, let's get started. All right, ladies, welcome back to another episode of the Confident Woman Podcast. Today we have with us Samantha Kozuch. Samantha is the visionary creator of the Maiscripting Journal, the disruptive viral brand known for its manifestation, life design journal, and cult following on social media. Through her dynamic online workshops and speaking engagements, Samantha has inspired audiences around the world, sharing practical tools and practices to align thoughts, intentions, and actions for manifesting success. Her work has disrupted the industry, with the Maiscripting Journal becoming a viral sensation, captivating the hearts of countless followers. As the founder of the Maiscripting Journal, a multi-million-dollar company, Samantha has taken the manifestation and personal development industry by storm, earning widespread recognition for her innovative approach to empowering individuals to script their dreams into reality. With over 100,000 dedicated followers across various social media networks, Samantha has built a thriving community of like-minded individuals seeking to unleash their inner power and achieve their true potential. Her genuine and relatable style has garnered a devoted global following, making her a driving force in the personal development arena. Samantha's exceptional journey of personal transformation and extensive research have contributed to her expertise in guiding others to break free from limiting beliefs and embrace life's limitless possibilities. As the creator of the renowned Maiscripting method, she has empowered women from all walks of life to take decisive steps towards their dreams, cultivating resilience and purpose along the way. Beyond her self-development and mindset coach role, Samantha hosts the Money, Mindset, and Manicures podcast, touching hearts with her wisdom and insight. Her profound impact on individuals seeking positive change continue to inspire growth and personal breakthroughs. So we have an incredible episode ahead of us. If this bio doesn't tell you what we're going to be talking about, you guys just skip right ahead, right? We're going to jump into some juicy details. So, oh my goodness, welcome, Samantha.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited. Just, I'm reading your bio, and I know we were chatting a little bit before we hit record. And oh my goodness, you have just built this incredible company, brand, business, tool, asset, everything, right? And I would love to just peel the layers back and pass the mic to you and share how this incredible, what we see today, how this came about, and learn more about you and your journey.
Yeah. Well, taking it back, oh my gosh, we could go back over a decade to where, it all truly just like really started bubbling up and began. But I'll just take it back to when and why the Maiscripting Journal launched. And it was actually during COVID, because as I was a social media online business coach the last few years before stepping fully into the Maiscripting Journal. But when that hit our world, all of my clients and followers, everyone was panicking. They were in a negative mindset. There was fear. People were losing jobs, income. A lot of them were really stepping into online businesses and wanting to launch their businesses as backups or stepping fully into their side hustles. And there was just a lot of uncertainty. And the one thing I started sharing with my community was something that I've been doing for about 7-8 years to that point, when I hit my personal rock bottom in my mid-20s, and I wanted to change my life and I wanted to change things. And I started doing that by tapping into and learning about vision boarding and journaling and scripting and really getting clear on my goals, and then incorporating down the road like meditation and a little bit tapping more into spirituality and things like that to really raise my vibration, and learning about frequency and all those sorts of things. So I started kind of slowly just talking about that on social media and doing lives and some Instagram posts. And I had quite a few people comment and DM me, and they were like, oh my gosh, what are these journaling scripts and what are these journaling prompts? Like, is there a PDF I can download? Because I used to do that, right? I'd talk about something, I'd give away free PDFs and tools and that sort of stuff. So my community naturally asked me for these things. And when I started getting that kind of feedback, I was all like, oh, wait, this is something that I can actually like create for them. So I created just like literally a PDF version of the journal, what it is today, because we are about 2.5 years old, almost 3. So the journal now has evolved. But at the time, I just created this PDF in Canva with different questions and stuff to do for meditation and a morning routine. And instead of just giving that out to anyone and everyone, I asked about 20 women that were interested and were asking me this. I was like, hey, I have this routine, this morning journaling routine practice. I'll give it to you for free. But all I ask for return is for you to join. I have created a little private Facebook group, a beta group, to test this for me and test this with me. And along with that, because I was already a coach, I was like, I'll give you free coaching every single week. But ultimately, I just want you to stay committed to it and give me feedback. And during those 4 weeks that I had about 20 women in this group, we did a live call every Sunday. And every Sunday, every single one of them was coming to this call and sharing their feedback. And it was mind blowing. Like some of these women had manifested raises during a time where people were getting fired. Other ones, there was this one girl that she was actually missing every Sunday call because she was at the time using the journal and the scripts to call in a partner and a boyfriend. And she's all like, I'm so sorry, but the last 3 Sundays, I met a guy and things are going so great. He's exactly what I've been wanted. So we've been going on hike dates and stuff. So she was like apologetic. She was missing the calls. But basically, everyone in this group was seeing some sort of transformation. Didn't have to be something grand, but even just feeling better, feeling more hopeful, feeling optimistic, feeling like they were on track. And that was where it hit me. I was all like, oh my gosh, this is something. I need to turn it into an actual book, an actual journal. And from there, I literally just followed that intuition. And it was actually a decision I was actually annoyed that this thought had even come to my mind, because everything in my online coaching business, it was going really well. I was filling up courses. I had wait lists. And now all of a sudden this idea came to me and I'm like, I would be crazy to not go after this. But also I had never created a physical product before. I don't know anything about e-commerce as far as like shipping and manufacturing and all of that stuff goes. And I was all like, you know what? I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out, because all the companies I've ever had prior to that, which were usually mostly like online or very entrepreneurial, I had figured it out by learning from YouTube, podcasts, even investing in coaches, that sort of stuff. I'm like, I've been here before. I've been in this place of unknown, so I can do it. So immediately just jumped to find a manufacturer, got first samples made. And within 4 months, we had our first shipment of 2,500 journals land. And they took off, and I've like just kept going and haven't looked back. So that's really how it started. And it was all about just like following that intuition of just sharing and just going after something that didn't make sense, but made sense.
Oh my goodness. This is just like, you probably have taken a page out of your own journal, right? Like this is crazy, but so wild, but yet it's almost like, well, what did you expect to happen? I manifested this life I created, so it would have to work. And now you're actually like your own first go at it. You're a testimonial of your first product. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm floored. Like this is just an incredible journey, like from your, idea to inception to this is a real deal. Like we're now expanding our warehouse kind of stuff. I know that like, just from when we were chatting before, I mean, the growth and the evolution of not only just the journal itself, but you, right? You were just like, this is something I'm sharing. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just throwing it out there. If it catches like wildfire, cool. If it doesn't, cool, because this is my life and it's working for me. And so you just said, you know what? I'm going to share something that's incredible. It's a piece of my heart. It's a piece of my work. And let's see what's going to happen. And here you are, 2.5 years later, going on 3 years with your journal and the transformations of those individuals, even just those 20 beta test students to your own. And what you had said, it started with a few pages, a few prompts, and you have this, so those who can't see or listening, it's this beautiful bound, gorgeous cover, hardcover, multiple tabs, multiple pages, spiral bound, like it's the real deal. So this is so cool. Like, had you envisioned kind of where you are now? And I know the reason I ask is because what I'm experiencing too is you create something or have this vision, and in reality, it turns out so much better when it's all in alignment and energetically aligns with where you want to go. So is there a little bit of holy crap? I mean, I envisioned this, but this is way better.
Yes, 100% that feeling. Like when I started, our first shipment, our first order was 2,500 journals. And I was just like, I just hope we can sell all these journals over the next year, like that was the goal. But I think our first year, like we had to place multiple orders and bigger orders of journals to really sustain all of the customers that were coming in to purchase. So that was even just so huge. But now even that we're where we are today and the growth that we've had and the expansion of the community and the number of journals that we've sold and, just the amount, it's interesting because especially being in business and online business and being in e-commerce, like everyone talks so much about revenue and numbers. And when I look at our revenue and numbers, it's not just about the money. For me, it's like, holy shit, this is the amount of lives that we've impacted and changed. I am the type of person that has really big goals and dreams for whatever I put my effort into, and especially this community. Like I eventually imagine, because right now, the only thing that we do in person is I do host retreats, like small retreats, but I envision almost like 1-day festivals or bigger like events or community events that, we can get 50, 100, 200 women together from the community, that kind of stuff. But just seeing it and actually being in it now is just so wild because this is the stuff that I've manifested or that I've written down on paper, years ago. And now it's actually, we're here and it's happening. And it's so surreal. It's a real surreal moment when you get to this point of this massive growth because you're just like, wow. And the crazier thing is too, is when I look back and I'm like, oh my God, what if I didn't? What if I didn't take action on that? What if I ignored my intuition? What if I ignored my gut because I was too much in my head with my other company because it was making great money? And I literally and this is how hard it was. Eventually I kept on coaching for a couple more months, but after that I couldn't sustain it anymore because I had to put all my focus on this. And that was going to zero. I didn't make money with my company. I couldn't take a paycheck for a year and a half, almost 2 years. I barely started paying myself in the third year. And it's very little still because we are also bootstrapped. So we are not taking on investors. We don't take on funding. I've been fully self-funded and reinvesting back into the company to grow it. So it's just wild to just think about how much we've grown, but then looking back and thinking like, what if I ignored that? What if I didn't take action on it? It's kind of crazy and scary to think about at the same time.
Oh my goodness, for sure. Like I can relate to that. I mean, not to the extent of where you're at, but when I published a book in the middle of the pandemic, right? Like it was, I'm writing a book. I had just wrapped it up, sent it off to my publisher in February of 2020. And sure enough, the very next month, hey guys, the whole world shut down. You're like, what do we do? So very similar. It's kind of like, did all this work go into the preparation for me to withhold and say, okay, well, the timing's not right. Or, other people have other things that are happening in a pandemic, right? So we could talk ourselves out of that big thing. But like you had said, imagine had I not followed through the lives that have been touched by your courage to say, I'm doing this anyway. And the same with my book. Like, I mean, the thousands of individuals that just read this book from the get-go, like the very get-go was like, whoa, this is telling you they need this. Our people need this. We're absorbing it. We're learning from it. We're experiencing it. And so now it just catches. And that's the beauty of when you put out something, because those couple thousands turn to thousands more and thousands more and thousands more. And that was very much where I'm motivated by the impact. And I love that you had said, you're like, it's cool that we're doing this, but what lights me up is to know that I somehow have a touch point to single-handedly impact the lives of these individuals for them to go out and not only just, manifest and, we could talk about manifestation, but there's some kind of that misunderstanding or misconception of it where it's like, okay, I manifested it. Now what? And so I'd love to just learn a little bit more about those processes, but through that manifestation, the important factor I think it's viable to mention here is we have to take action. Right? We can't just put it in paper and just, okay, well, I did all my things. Now I'm going to go do nothing. Right? So it's still applied with action. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about that.
That's the one thing about manifestation that really just grinds my gears because I see so much talking about it on social media and like Instagram and TikTok and there's this big misconception that manifesting is just like thinking about something or writing it down or even just creating a vision board and poof, we just sit back and it's supposed to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then, oh my God, manifestation sucks. It doesn't work. It's all woo woo. It's all fake. Like it doesn't work. Yep. But manifestation, it's like people have to understand we're manifesting all the time, regardless if you're aware of it, if you're intentional with it or not. Our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions are constantly manifesting whatever's going on in an environment, anything that we are attracting that's happening. I don't say to us, I say for us, regardless if it's good or bad. We are constantly, because we are literally all energy. And not to get all spiritual, like this is like science, like everything in our reality, whether it's a hard tabletop, your cell phone, the clothes you're wearing, your body, we're all made up of energy. So that energy is always in flux and always in momentum, and it's always moving and changing and shifting. So that creates this energetic frequency, right? But basically bring it more back into something more tangible is when it comes to manifestation, it all comes down to, yes, have that clarity on that thing that you want, whether it is a material item, a goal in your business, health goal, anything like that. You have to be super clear on it, write it down, declare that that's what you want it, but then start taking action on it. And it's not even just taking action on it, but you have to be really aligned with that goal. And that's like one of the biggest things that I see is people set things as goals because they see other people do them, right? Especially with Instagram and TikTok, you see all this influence with like, oh, I have to have 6 figures in my business or be a millionaire or I'm a failure or look a certain way and act a certain way. But a lot of times that might not be for us. So if you're just taking action towards something that you're just unaligned with, it's never going to happen because your energy and your frequency, it doesn't lie. And when you're not in alignment with those things that you're wanting, they're never going to manifest. So there's like, when it comes down to all of it, it really just comes down to your alignment and your mindset as well. Like all of this is just reprogramming, even going into like talking about subconscious mind, like it's all just reprogramming who you are and declaring who this person is that you want to step into and become. Because really just like at the end of the day, like we can't just go around pretending we want certain things or just be wishy-washy, I guess, with the universe, right? Because then you're just going to get this wishy-washiness that comes back to you too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love how you explained it because it's so clear. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking, I'm starting to see, just some visions. Like I always interpret in visions and like pictures and stuff. So I'm seeing how somebody who could be going through the life thinking, okay, well, from an inside, I'm looking at other people's outsides and I want what they have. However, when I look at around my circumstances, situations, environment, whatever that might be, how can we help close that gap? And I love that you talked about that with the manifestation, because it isn't just about putting it out there and doing the whole, well, it's woo, right? It's supposed to work. Yeah. It's magic. It's superpower. And it's not though. It's that married with action. What are the intentions? And when you envision that higher self or your best self or whatever that version and vision and life that you aspire and desire, you have to then reel it back in and say, well, how am I showing up for this? Is this energetically aligned? If you're down in the dumps and going through some major life changes, whatever that is, and you still have that vision, you're like, okay, but that's where I want to go. But keep in mind, sometimes that energy exchange isn't going to get there as fast as you want because there's a lot of that in between, right? And I like that you mentioned that. So I guess for anyone listening who's like, I'm still a little bit lost, like, can you paint a pretty picture to put in an example or something like that? I'm curious to know if you have a example from possibly one of your former students that maybe their energy wasn't aligning with where they wanted to be. And so they had to do some of that deep inner work to raise their vibrations or heal themselves or let go of whatever the negative stuff is so they can start bringing in and attracting all the things they want in their life.
Yeah, a great example. And this is something that actually has happened to everybody at some point, most likely, unless you've been completely conscious and aware since, your teen years and your young adulthood. But I want you to think about your day-to-day routine and how you feel going through that day. every day and reflect on how you feel emotionally. Because usually what I hear and experience, and I experienced this way far in the past, is people will go to their job that they hate. They wake up depressed. They wake up not excited to get up for the day. They're going to a job that they complain about. They're with a partner that they complain about all the time. Maybe they have a friend group that they're just not enjoying, or they're completely just numbing out all the time. Every night they get home, they're just binge watching Netflix, drinking glasses of wine. So really, or if there's anything that is consistently happening to you over and over and over, that's negative. For example, if you are single right now, and maybe you're in the dating world and you're just constantly meeting men or women that, oh my God, this guy's a jerk. Oh my gosh, this person's a loser. Like what? Like if you're constantly seeing a repetitive negative thing happening, those are two cases of, okay, it is time to take a look at what you actually want for your life and what things are no longer serving you, and time to clean it up. Because at the end of the day, you cannot call anything new in without removing, because we always have to make space in order to call in new. So that is like just the first part to really changing your life and really just manifesting everything, is literally assessing what's going on right now and what are those things that you are not happy with. So those are examples that I just see over and over and over. And the interesting thing is when you do get on this path of the self-development and the reprogramming of your subconscious mind, and you're calling different things in, another thing that happens where you might experience this part again is when you start taking action towards those things. Now, universe, source, God, whatever it is that you believe in, whatever higher power energy you believe in, starts really rearranging and shifting things in your reality. So you can again go from like this bliss of like, oh yes, I let things go, I'm on this path to greatness. And all of a sudden, it's like the universe just picks up your reality and just shakes it up like a Christmas snowball, and all the snow is going, it's just shaking it. Because what else has to happen is, as you are calling in more new things, well, your whole entire reality has to shift and change. So things are going to get shaken up. So it's like you going out and building a brand new house, but you right now are this old house with cracks in the foundation, the walls are kind of cracking, falling down. Well, you can't just build a new house on top of this house, right? You have to completely bulldoze it and start from scratch. So when we are on this path, it may feel like your world is falling apart too. Like all of a sudden you might get fired from your job. All of a sudden you might break up with your partner. All of a sudden, like these kind of quote unquote negative experiences might pop up, but it's all stuff that's also happening for you. Because how can you get the better relationship if you're still stuck in a crappy one? How can you call in the better job or start the business if you're in this other one? So if you don't make those decisions to get out of those situations, the universe is going to do it for you in some way or another. So it's a really interesting world when you are changing your life, because you're already kind of like in the dumps, or you're already unhappy. And then you're going to experience more of that again, kind of as you go through this rearrangement and shifting. But at the end of the day, it all just really comes down to like, you have to just trust. And that's why there's those things like trust the process. The universe always has your back. Like it's a true like trust and surrender process throughout all of this. But on the other side of it, it's so freaking beautiful and so amazing too.
Oh my gosh. If I'm literally, I don't think I could have summed it up any better. This has probably been the best explanation in a way that I think would make sense to so many of our listeners, because that is the reality of it. I'm over here just like smiling and nodding and agreeing and all this stuff, because for those listening, like, and had been listening to the podcast, I started sharing bits and pieces and more about my life over this past like year. And that's exactly what happened. Like, it got to the point where things were sticking so bad. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do X, Y, and Z. Right. And eventually sometimes you don't know where to start. So,
yeah,
if you're in that situation where like, I just need a complete life makeover. I need a U-Haul, like come and take all my stuff and then figure things out. So metaphorically speaking, it's very similar, because it's like, I went through this massive change several years back. And that was actually the inspiration behind my book, Chasing Perfection. And then I found myself in this season, and it all started to come to a head, I think, about last year. And that's where I realized that I think at this point in my life, I was just at a place where I just couldn't anymore. I couldn't do anything anymore. I was over it. And life came in and worked its beautiful, beautiful ways of working things where everything works out all for the greater good, all better than you can imagine. And I remember at this point in my life where I just kind of hit one thing. I said, well, I'll start here with the one change. But what I didn't know and life taught me was, no, not only are you changing that, we're changing everything. So I just revamped and bulldozed my entire life. I burned my business down. We packed up, we moved. We have this beautiful place that we absolutely are in love with. We're remodeling it, renovating it, building our dream home kind of thing. Like this is, everything was working for me. But at that point where it's like, okay, the business is crashing down. I'm at a place of like hitting another secondary rock bottom if I didn't jump out before I hit crash landing and went up in smokes with everything. But it was like, wow. Because when you're in the midst of this like destruction phase, it's a beautiful gift to know that you can go back and rebuild. And this is, it's that hard reset that life comes in and says, listen, you're about to level up in every damn area of your life. Be prepared, because the shit is not fun and it's not easy. But the fact that you've endured this long, this pain, this whatever, everything is going to be on the upside from that point. Because when you hit a bottom, where else are you going to go? There's nowhere else to go. So those that are listening are like, okay, that was a little bit too much. I'm not looking at every aspect of my life, right? But it doesn't matter, because that one aspect of your life will be a catapult into those other areas, and it will always shake a foundation in any of those other pieces and aspects of your life. So I love that you brought this conversation to the table, because it was something that, like I said, I was in knee deep in trenches of just mud and grit and sorting through ashes and dust and all the stuff to kind of rebuild. And I said, I'm like Humpty Dumptying my life back together.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to put it back the way it was before it fell. I'm going to pick it up, and there's going to be those cracks and shards that are missing and pieces. But that's the beauty of it, because I think as we rebuild our life, it's okay to allow for those imperfections, because in that imperfection, those cracks and holes and whatnot, that's where life and light come in and shine through it. So when it gives it now a freedom and a space for it to breathe and live and absorb and take on a new life form, which essentially is you as the carrier of all these pieces of your life. I love this conversation.
Yes.
So all of that is through your journal. And I would love to talk about the journal more in depth and walk us through for somebody who doesn't have a physical copy in their hands and be like, this is incredible. One, first of all, you should get one, because I'm looking at the ones behind Samantha and I'm like, all right, I want the white one. I like the purple one. Like there's so many options, but kind of navigating your way through your journal, how would somebody start picking this up and be like, okay, listen, you ladies are just really speaking to me, because I'm at a place in my life. I need either a complete makeover or a makeover in this department. So how can I pick up a copy of the Maiscripting Journal? And then second, how do I use it?
Yeah. So with the Maiscripting Journal, what I love most about this journal, because I've seen other journals in the past, used other journals in the past, but the one thing that I saw that was missing is, of course, you can pick up a journal and start writing your gratitudes and all that every single day and write down what you want and blah, blah, blah. But it's all about that clarity first, about recognizing what's no longer serving you, recognizing your responsibility in everything that you've done and where you are today. Because a lot of us, we like to place blame on everyone else, blame on everything outside of ourselves. Well, I'm broke because blah, 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 or I'm unhappy because X, Y, and Z. We love to place blame outside ourselves. But with the journal, the first part of it is actually kind of like a workbook that asks you a series of questions, and it goes over every single part of this. And it's in 5 different categories. You have questions about your career or business. You have questions about like love and relationships, friendships, material items, health and fitness. Or is there 4? It might be just 4. Or money and finance. So 5 categories, and you go through and you answer kind of like the same questions for each of them. Because first, we just want clear, like full on clarity. and remove the stuff that's no longer serving us. And then after that, it goes into a 90-day daily morning journal pages, which every single day you do recognize what you're grateful for, what you're open to receiving, writing in a little affirmation. There's like a habit tracker as well. There's 3 things that you write in, where 3 inspired action steps that you're going to take today. And then there's a full journaling page where you write out in script, and there's an actual Maiscripting method script that you can use. This is either for free writing. This can be writing out, like, I'm so happy and grateful that I have blah, 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 like putting down what you want, but acting as if you already have it, right? And then just truly every single day, the most important part of all of this is doing it in the morning. Because in the morning, when you first wake up, that's the time that your mind is the most impressionable when you first wake up or right before you fall asleep. So when you first wake up and you go into your morning routine, instead of scrolling on social media, instead of turning on TV, watching the news, or just engaging with the outside world or people in your household, it's so important to first start with you, start inwards. Because if your goals and what you want to create for your life are top of mind first, it affects the rest of your day in a good way, because it reminds you to stay in that alignment. It reminds you, like if you wrote down in your journal, like this month, like this year or whatever, I'm going to lose 25 pounds. And then later you're getting off of work and maybe you're feeling a little tired and you're like, you know what? I don't want to go to the gym. You're going to be more inclined to be like, no, shit, I wrote down, like, this is my goal right now. Like, I need to stay accountable, stay motivated to go do that. So it's a really great tool and made in a really fun, aesthetic way to help you just stay accountable and get clear. And when it comes to manifesting and changing your life, it's not this huge lifestyle overhaul. In fact, I literally tell everyone in my community, like, don't try to change everything at once. Like, don't try to improve your health and then also work on your business and then go out, start dating and change your entire wardrobe and all. Like, no, like, don't do that. Start with baby steps that you can create. Like, literally just start writing in the journal. Even if you don't take any other action on that, just start writing. Add in meditation. Do little things, because once you start, it's when it comes to changing your life and like being a manifester, like it's literally a lifestyle. This isn't just a 90 days and you're done, or just create a vision board and then you're done. Like, it's a full-on transformation and embodiment of being that woman all the time.
Yes. And that's what we do. I mean, in the Confident Woman, it's, that version of you, right? So that is kind of the journey, the destination. So she is the confident woman. And what does the confident woman mean to you? It's about pulling it back. What does she look like? What is she wearing? What is the life she's living? How is she showing up? How is she taking care of her health? Is she loving and present in her relationships? And so we start really unraveling what it's not so much about the ideal dream life. It's the ideal dream individual of who's going to be experiencing that. And I think that that's definitely something to note, because we think, well, I don't know, I saw the jets and the big houses and the yachts and all the things that we see on social media. So I guess that's the life I want, right?
Yeah.
And, for those who may or may not be at that point, it's about getting crystal clear on what it is you want. And maybe that just starts with getting crystal clear on what you're no longer settling for or accepting. Yeah. Because sometimes we have to start there. Because I remember back in the day, I mean, gosh, this is probably like a decade ago or something like that. Somebody had asked me, well, what is it you want in life? This kind of this crux of my like, okay, I'm done. I can't do this life anymore. And they said, well, what do you want in life? And to be honest, I couldn't answer that question. So I was like, I have no idea, but I don't want blah, 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 blah. And I remember their response back was, no, that's not the right answer. I'm like, well, it's my answer, because to me, I haven't experienced something I did like, but I could tell you what I've had enough of. And these are things that are first to remove. So when you talked about you have to remove things or let go or you heal, those kind of areas to make that space, because now the space is removed, which brought that clarity so I could focus on what it is I actually did want. And it's funny because the thing of what I did want didn't actually involve a tangible or material thing. It was me feeling the sensations and experience of living this life that I didn't even know I was about to create. but I showed up every day and said, "Ooh, she's so happy. What's it like to feel happy? What's it feel like to be content and be grateful and experience love on a deep, intimate level? What does it feel like to truly connect, to feel like I belong to part of something where I'm externally chasing places to fit in, to be accepted and to mold and things like that?" And I was like, that's exhausting. That's not who I am. And this isn't who I'm designed to be. So recognizing that would be, I think, had I had to go do it again, that's where I would begin. But I think, in hindsight, we don't know until we've experienced it. And I think for those first listening and say, I don't know, it's my first go, start there. Start with what you're sick and tired of so that you can jot this down, dump this out, get rid of it, and start beginning to create a life you absolutely love. And so as you were just sharing, Samantha, all these steps are help guide you through, and that's in your journal. And then you mentioned the Maiscripting method. And so I assume that's your signature method that goes along with your beautiful journals. And there's additional support and help that you obviously walk your students and your customers through, right? So if they buy the journal, how can they access all those additional resources and tools?
Yes. So with the journal, what I created, and this is something that I created because I didn't have it when I hit my rock bottom. So I created a free community that you come into. There's thousands of women in this community already. And every single month, and even twice a year right now, we're actually in the middle of a accountability challenge, but that's where I host free masterclasses. That's where you can go to ask questions, get support, because so many of us feel so alone in this journey. We don't have friends that we can turn to. They don't get us. We don't have family that we can turn to or speak about it with, or even our partners. A lot of, especially women, are with partners that just don't get it. They don't get it yet. They haven't woken up to this work yet. And that's actually quite normal. Women tend to kind of step into this new layer of energetics and consciousness way faster than men do, which, ladies, we do need to help our men rise in that space. But a lot of us feel alone. And when I hit my rock bottom, when I was in my mid-20s, I didn't have anyone that I could talk to. I didn't have anyone that I could reach out to. Like, none of my friends got it because obviously I hit my rock bottom because I was not hanging out with the best people. I wasn't doing the things that I wanted to for my life and all of that. And that created that. But luckily, I had this ego, the big ego, where I didn't want anyone to see me fail. I didn't want anyone to see me fail. So that's what really drove me and put that fire under my butt to like, okay, get your shit together, Sam. Like, go build a business, go like move, all these different things that I did to finally go after the things that I really wanted in my life. But I know that so many people out there like are in that space. And that if you don't have that ego to drive you, if you don't have that self-discipline and motivation, like, you will stay there. And so many people, and this is why so many people are unhappy with their lives, because we get comfortable with feeling that way. Like, we get comfortable in misery. And because that also has to do with our ego, and ego doesn't like change. So that's also why when you do go to change your life and you start implementing these new habits and things, it's also very hard because the ego is like, no, I would rather be depressed every day because that's predictable. No, we wake up, we're depressed, we're unhappy, we're mad, we're angry. No, this is it. And all of a sudden, when you start to try and shift that, it's like, it's why it's so hard to build a new habit and why people stop after a few weeks, because they get pulled back to that comfort zone. So ultimately, this is a long way of saying is literally like that was one of my main things for the Maiscripting Journals, to have a community, a free one that women can come to. You can come utilize it. And it's so amazing to watch the women in there because they support each other. It's not even just me in there like commenting and helping. I rarely do anymore because someone posts something like, I need support with this, like just whatever issues they have. And then you have girls jumping in there, just be like, oh my gosh, like this is what I did, or sending you love. Like, we're here for you. Like, it's such a great support system. And that was something that was really, really important to me, because if you don't have that, it's really hard. It's really hard to change your life. And that was one of my bigger purposes for this journal is there's so many people out there that are not living in their purpose, that are not letting their light shine. And everyone that is coming into this world, into this reality, like, there is a reason for it. You have a reason, there's a purpose, and there's a light. And I just want to help bring that out of you.
Yes. What you're just sharing there is so, so, so needed. And I think, when we talk about that place of community and acceptance and belonging and things like that, and it's so necessary even for our own personal growth, our transformation, really finding a place that you 100% can be you. And that's, the messiness, right? Our flaws, our insecurities, like kind of all that stuff, like the things that the skeletons in our closets, right? We're afraid to be seen and show people the messes. But I think and this kind of leads me to just a quick point of vulnerability, right? And I think that as we try to create a life that we absolutely love, it comes back to you as the individual, as the person who is personally responsible for all the forward trajectories from here on out. So what was in the past is in the past. You just let that stuff be. We learn from those mistakes. We learn from the lessons. We learn from everything we have at one point in life experienced. And I think that as we own those different pieces of our lives, all the good, all the bad, all the ugly, all that messy middle, it creates this moment of relatability. It creates personal connection. It creates this shared, hey, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one who's going through this. So I'm not alone in my journey. And I think that is having the power of vulnerability in your tool belt as well. Because when you can own your past and your stories, and the more you start really just shaping and learning and embracing it and leaning into it, not from a place of that was comfort, that's where I know I was, that's what I can expect, but you're going to need to rely on some of those to get you through that next set or that next stage, which is that messy middle, which is just filled. It's like this big gaping dark hole that we're embarking on. We're like, do you know the way? No. Do you know the way? No, but I figure if we can join forces, which is what community is, we can hold hands and we can navigate this darkness alone or together instead of feeling alone. So when you trip, I'm there to catch you and vice versa. And I think that creates that pillar of strength, courage, and confidence to keep moving forward in the direction and trajectory of the life that you absolutely love and want to create and desire. Because in that life that you're aspiring and desiring, I'm sure there's people there in your life, right? So bring these individuals up with you, carry them through this journey, lead them to a place that now you could say, hey, we just overcame this never-ending obstacle. We didn't know where the darkness was going to end. And now you come out stronger. You have your people. You feel supported. You're watching life manifest and unfold. You're having people there witness and celebrate with you. And I don't know about you, but that is just an incredible journey. And I think as I'm even finding myself in this very season, in this very state that I'm in, I get to do this with other people. And I think that is more fulfilling than the fact that yay, go Rachel, you accomplish X, Y, and Z. I'm like, no, hey, us, look what we did together. This is so cool. Yes. Let's keep this and let's bring up more people with us to carry this forward. So I love that you shared all of that because, at the end of the day, your life, as much as you may or may not love your own company and companionship, it's meant to be shared. It's meant to be experienced, and it's meant to be a place where we get to love and be loved. And that's what the beautiful work that you do in your journal and in your methods and your community and all that stuff. So I commend you on all this because like you said, you're like, I had no idea. I was just sharing this thing. And then here we are almost 3 years later, outgrowing our warehouse, having this kick-ass community that is nothing but a pillar of support and watching these women transform their lives and to know that I had a part of that, right? How rewarding is that? And so I imagine, is that a page out of your own journal?
Yeah, it's wild. And it leaves me speechless, truly, because it's interesting. It's like, I don't feel like I'm anything special. You know what I mean? It's not and it just goes back to, we come to this reality with our purpose, right? Truly. And it's the one thing that I just want to remind everyone of, the part about just following your gut, following your intuition, stop listening to other people and what society wants you to do or the expectations that it has on you. We didn't even get into my entire story of from college to now. And I'm in my mid-30s now, by the way. So That's another thing. You're never too old to start anything. Like I started a new company in my early 30s, like it's just wild. Like you just don't think that these things would happen in this way. And I just didn't care because I didn't care what people thought of me. I just kept doing it. I tried. And yeah, here we are today. You just never know. You can never connect the dots forward, right? Like you can only look back and be like, oh my gosh, that's why this happened. That's why this happened. And just always following your gut and intuition. You're never too old for anything, and nothing's ever a waste of time. Like I could sit here thinking like, oh my gosh, the last 10 years of me building different businesses was such a waste of time. It wasn't, because even all those companies, they taught me. Every single company or every single thing that I've done for work all plays a role in this company today.
Mm-hmm.
Every single little piece. So it just goes back to like, really, like this stuff works. Like I'm a living proof of the journal. And the journal is the tool. And that's why it just had to be birthed, because there's nothing out there like it. And it just works if you allow it to. That's the thing. A lot of people, like, not a lot, but like if you buy it and if you just read a couple pages of it and then you just don't do anything with it, then of course it's not going to work for you. You have to put in the work. You got to put in the effort.
Right. And that's where you marry it together through intention and action. And that's the results you get. But yeah, all of that, everything you just shared, when you talk about, well, we didn't talk about those stories and this and that. And I love that you brought that up, because I think as we're going and growing and evolving, we're going to have different chapters in our life where we're like, okay, that book, that one's complete. We're going to start a new book. So having this in your tool belt allows you now. So when you're like, you know what, I'm going to hit reset. It's not going to take me 4 years to get through it now. Maybe it might take me 2, maybe it might take me 1 and 6 months or even 3. And so now every time you're approaching that leveling up version of you, that calling, that knowing that's inside of you, and it's saying, hey, we're done here. Like our job is done at this level. We're about to advance. You need to step into this. You need to become this version, right? So as you said, like I was a whole different person. So that whole different person you had to experience, because you wouldn't be this person you are today, the constant evolution, right? So all that stuff that was like, oh, I went through X, Y, and Z. Great. Use it. That's a freaking tool. That is like your biggest gain is everything you have to lose, everything you've had to let go of. That's also that freed weight, like you said, opens the door, opens opportunities, opens the expansion aspect of it. And you, as you're growing, you can recognize that awareness is like, oh, I know what season we're in. We're in life change season or whatever that might be. So it doesn't feel like a surprise and knock you out on your butt. And you're like, how did I get here again, right? Yeah. So that resiliency. And that's what you mentioned that as well. So I love all the stuff that you're sharing and creating and doing, and you're empowering individuals to really, get crystal clear on not only their life that they want, but the version and the person they have to become, but also giving them that permission that says, listen, if this isn't working for you, there's something better on that other side. You have to have that courage to just say, what else could be out there? Well, anything is better than what you're settling for right now, because if that pain is too painful of going through the motions, doing the same thing, wondering why you're attracting X, Y, and Z, you're miserable, you're down in the dumps, right? Well, that is something that to release, because there's so much better options and things in life out there for you to go experience. So oh my goodness, I know we're coming up on time, but I absolutely love this conversation. So is there anything you would love to just share with our listeners, or anything we didn't get to? Because I know we talked a lot of everything, right? But just give you a few minutes to wrap up and share what's on your heart. Also, how people can find your beautiful journal and follow you along on your journey and have access to all this incredible awesomeness that you have.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think it just goes back to reiterate, like, I honestly cannot stress it enough. Like, I come into contact and I talk to so many people, and I have this amazing superpower to see greatness in people before they see it in themselves. And I just see so many people just walking around scared and in fear and just holding back on their greatness and their purpose, because they're just afraid of what other people are going to say and do and think. And I just want you to find a group of people or a person that you can turn to for the support to help you step into this, whether it is a community, whether it is a coach or something like that. But if you have this deep burning desire, like to do something in this world, please, I urge you, like, please take action on it. Like, I can't stress it enough. Like, you came here for a reason, and that reason, the world needs you. Like, just like with what I've created with the Maiscripting Journal, like, what if you were to create something that literally changes humanity or changes so many people? And this doesn't have to be your mission. My mission was just like, let's create a journal and I want to help some people. I didn't realize it would turn into what it is today. So that is just my like one ask, like just promise yourself to do that. And you can grab a copy of the journal at maiscripting.com. And I'd love to offer your listeners a 15% off code for listening today. So if they want to use the code Confident Woman at checkout, they can get 15% off. And I would love for you to, if you want to stay connected or see what's going on in my world, you can follow me on Instagram, which is I am Samantha Kozuch. Or if you want to tap more into the community, we are the Maiscripting Journal on Instagram and TikTok.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. Such an incredible conversation. So of course, all of that will be in the show notes. Be sure to check those below. And we are excited to just follow along with you and your journey and just watching you outgrow your own version of today. You know, when we reconnect, you're going to be like, I've outgrown this. And so you're always in this constant evolution. And it's a beautiful, beautiful journey, and especially one that you get to create and love and live. And so how cool is that?
Yeah, awesome. So cool. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you and take care. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of the Confident Woman podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode as much as I did, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Thanks again for listening.